Our family loves travel, and we have always been excited about international travel opportunities in particular. My husband and I had a chance to spend a couple of months in Germany right after we got married. I've been lucky enough to visit places like Tanzania and northern India and the Holy Land. And admittedly, we haven't done a lot of it in recent years, probably for a lot of reasons. But let's be honest, it's not always easy to budget for big trips like that when it's not just one or two of you, but a family of four. And recently, our older son, he came home from school and he told us about a Spanish trip that the high school is heading on next year to the Galapagos Islands. The people planning this trip, they must have done an amazing job of hyping it up amongst the kids because our son came home already committed to make a pitch to his parents or his grandparents to work more hours and to find a way to go. And as we were talking and learning more about logistics for this trip, like flights and passports, he said, "Well, I've never even been out of the country." And I had to stop and think about that because my gut reaction was to say to him, "You are right. You are 15, and there are plenty of 15-year-olds who've never left the country." But then I also thought about the fact that in this day and age, we have so much more access to the rest of the world than we even considered having a generation ago. Just think about this. You turn on the news and they are talking about a war in this country one minute, or the death of the Queen and the royal funerals the next minute. You could also choose to get online and follow any random person's travel blog to see videos and photos of the places that they visit and nearly feel like you're traveling there yourself. Even if you put cost and logistics aside for a second, it's easy to wonder what it would be like to visit a foreign land of some sort. Well, here at the end of Romans chapter 15, Paul is making his plans to visit Rome. Now, you might pause at this because we are nearly done reading the book of Romans after all, but we have to remember that Paul wrote his letter in preparation. He'd talked to the people about this divisive situation in Rome between the Jews and the Gentiles, and he spends this entire letter addressing it. And you'll notice in verses 22 through 29 that Paul talks about visiting Rome, about passing through Spain, and he mentions that he's on his way through Jerusalem. And it seems in some verses like he might be a little focused on the contributions that would have allowed not only for his travels, but in his ability to make a difference in ministry in Jerusalem. And some scholars think that he was essentially writing a missionary support letter that this funding situation was kind of concerning to him. Others think we can't get carried away by that, and instead we need to remember that Paul is working to tie so many things together at this part in the letter. He is likely anticipating the fact that this unity he's spoken about, it won't come without kind of some sort of conflict. And he's human too, and so there could be uncertainties that he's worried about in his future ministry. So today, as you read this section, I invite you to think about it from a modern day worldly view. Take the perspective of that dreaming teenager who looks at amazing stories about places like the Galapagos Islands and wonders, what could it be like for me to visit the people and the spaces there? Paul wrote letters, but he also did travel to a lot of different communities, as you will read if you read more of his letters, which we hope you'll do. And you'll notice that he addresses each community differently. Not one of them is alike. So yes, we can think and need to think about the community, but we also need to think and dream about other places we are yet to go, about the people we haven't even met yet. And at the end of chapter 15, Paul is talking about these potential travels, and he invites the people in this letter to pray for him along the way, even if he struggles. Because once he gets to them, he says that he has hopes, that he comes to them with joy by God's will, and that in their company he will be refreshed. And I think chapter 15 gives us a glimpse back to Paul's humanity. He's nervous about taking the bold story of Jesus to new people, but he's more confident because he's not doing it alone. So some questions for you today. Number one, when you travel, how do you prepare for new people and new places? And number two, what would it be like for you to prepare to tell new people about Jesus? Thanks so much. One more day to go. We'll see you tomorrow.